Welcome everybody to our May webinar. And this month, I'm delighted to welcome Janet Lindsay. I'm going to do a very quick introduction and then I pass it on to her so she can share with you the three principles. So Janet has been working in the criminal justice sector for many years. And since she came across the three principles, she has developed three principle-based programs that she delivers to female ex-offenders in the UK, and she's based in Birmingham. She also founded a social enterprise where the aim is to work with people from disadvantaged backgrounds so they can help their community. And recently, she has also joined the One Foot Institute as a teacher. So she has quite a broad wealth of experience in the criminal justice. And I'm going to pass it on to her now. To you, Janet.
Thank you, Carrie. Hi, everybody. I was just going to say that I'm so grateful that we know and have some understanding of these principles, because just moments before this webinar, I spilled a pint of water over my laptop and everything just went belly up. But thankfully, with Carrie and her very calm voice and nature, and my understanding of Janet, it's fine. It's just my thinking. Here we are right now. So I'm really pleased and grateful and thankful to Karen for suggesting that I do this call. And in doing this, I suppose the title that I put was Disconnected. Are we ever really connected? And in working with the client group that I work with, I suppose so many people, or some people have asked me, why would you work with offenders? Why would you do that? Because they've hurt so many other people. What I realize in coming to have this understanding of the principles is it's because of that connection. It's because of that connection to mind, to infinite intelligence, that I can work with offenders, all manner of offenders. I suppose a little bit about me and my story and my background is that I used to be a probation officer and a probation manager, and at those times we were taught different techniques and approaches to help reduce reoffending, because we were only focused on one aspect of the individual, which was their offending. And we were taught some coaching skills, some CBT, different interventions, very much an outside-in approach to try and reduce that reoffending. And as a practitioner, I know there were many times that I dreaded doing the group work or even using some of these interventions, because even for myself, it didn't feel right. And having left the probation trust over 10 years ago, I was always searching and looking for an approach or a technique which was going to help people, which is going to help people to be the best that they could be, to live a better life. And so, having done NLP and EFT, emotional freedom technique, and neuro-linguistic programming, still using techniques because that's what I thought was the best way. It wasn't until I came across the principles almost over 4 years ago now that I realized that there was a different way. That there was a different way, that there was a way in which was more intuitive, which was more simple, but also it wasn't outside in, it was inside out, and is inside out. For me, in understanding that we all create our human experience with thought, mind, and consciousness, that we are all connected to the infinite intelligence, to Source, what I would call God, that we're all connected. In seeing another person as I see myself, seeing them as a reflection of me, allowed me to work with them in a far different way. Allowed me to work with individuals by looking at the health of them, by looking at the spark that's within them and seeing them as the same as myself. And in doing that and in realizing that we're always connected, and that's when I've started to see results far surpassing anything that I could have ever done when I was in probation. In working with these three principles, what I realized is that it's not something that is to be done, it is a being. In understanding and deepening my understanding of connecting to Source, I realize and understand that in working with somebody or in being with somebody, it's like being with myself. That I can share myself, that I can talk to a person on a level whereas before there were barriers and power dynamics and power struggles. Now there was none of that. There is none of that. To the extent that I was delivering a group just the other day and just yesterday, and Linda Ramos is actually with me in Birmingham. I was delivering a group with Linda Ramos yesterday, and one of the women just after pre-event, just after in her first session, she turned around and said, "It can't be this simple." And I said, "Who said it can't be this simple?" Because what that person was referring to, I suppose, was all of her life. It had been an outside-in approach that people had been using techniques on her, or she had been using techniques, as opposed to just being in the moment, understanding that connection, understanding how we create our human experience in the moment, and seeing, once you're connected, and seeing how simple this experience truly can be. And so for the last 4 years, not only is it the work that I've been doing with people, but it is also how I have changed in myself. Initially, it seemed as if I was far more calm, and my husband would attest to that, being far more calm and not as moody and far happier. But as time has gone on, what I am experiencing is a deeper peace. So not only is there a calm, there's a joy, there's a happiness, but underneath all of that, there is an undercurrent of peace, of contentment, of reassurance that everything is fine and everything will be fine. So in whichever situation or wherever I turn up to do work, or whoever I have a conversation with, it's that deep resounding peace, that deep resounding knowing that takes me through every situation. And so I'm the kind of person who, I can share a bit, see if there's any questions, see where people would like to go, if this is resounding, if this is resonating with people, and then to move on. Really. So, Irene, are there any questions or anything people would like to ask at this moment? Can you hear me?
Janet, can you stick closer to your microphone? I think we're losing you from time to time. Or I do anyway.
Okay. Is
Okay.
that better?
Yeah, that's better. Would you like people to maybe ask you questions if they want to?
If there's a question to be asked, yes, that would be perfect. That would be great.
So if you want to ask a question to Janet, you can do two things. You can either raise your hand. You should have like a little hand icon towards the bottom right of your screen. and I'll see you on, and I can unmute your microphone. Alternatively, you can send me a chat. So select host on the chat, and either I can ask the question, or I can unmute you and you can ask the question, whichever you prefer. So if you want to ask questions, just do that, and then I can pass them on to Janet to be able to answer. We don't have any questions for now, Janet, but people might do as we go along. If you can just keep closer to the microphone so we can hear a bit better, that is fine.
Is that has this that much better?
That's much better, yes.
Okay. I think as Karen was just speaking, what then just came to me was, how did I start to share this within criminal justice in the UK? Because up until 4 years ago, everything that was being delivered had been around for the last 10, 15 years, so using cognitive behavioral therapies and using some NLP and some of the other therapeutic approaches that be used in probation. And there are times when we turn around and say that we don't really have to try, we don't really have to do anything, we can just trust in mind, we can trust in the infinite intelligence for things to happen and for things to work. And to a certain degree, that is what happened. And as I said before, I was a probation officer and a probation manager, and left over 10 years ago to set up my own business. And what had happened was, over the last 6 years, I'd been consistent in my work. I'd been delivering training, traditional training within criminal justice staff. But aside to that, what always resonated with me was working with people and working with women from different backgrounds. And so, with the best information and knowledge that I had, I continued to deliver self-esteem programs, confidence building programs. And what had happened was that 4 years ago, a friend of mine who was now in the Ministry of Justice and was still in probation asked if I could deliver or write an innovative program for female offenders. And I started to talk to her about the principles, and what she realized, she said, "Janet, I don't understand it, but just try it. What's the worst that can happen?" And so what had happened, that had fallen under an innovation pot of money. Because right now there are so many changes that are happening that people are looking for new and innovative, cost-effective ways of looking at behavioural change. And so at the time that I started delivering this program, all I had was the principles. It was 6 months from request to deliver, and all I had was the principles. And at that time, all I literally had were the metaphors. What is thought? What is mind? What is consciousness? How is our listening affected by our thinking? And that was for 7 weeks. And literally every week it was to go in unsafe and just point in the direction of the principles. That's all and everything that I had. And what the commissioners saw, it wasn't that they needed to understand what I was doing. What they saw were the results. They saw people complying with the program, sticking to the program, turning up every week. They heard the feedback, which was from the women themselves, saying that they felt happier, that they had better relationships with their children. But also there's feedback from the offender managers, their supervisors, saying that they never believed that the women would stick to these programs. And so what had happened was, as I was sharing the principles, the more I shared the principles, the deeper understanding and grounding I had myself. So that when I was to speak with other commissioners, because since then I've worked in 3 different probation trusts and then had a number of different contracts with different organisations, what has happened is that my understanding and my grounding has helped me to listen more clearly to what it is a commissioner thinks they need. And when I hear what they think they need, I give them what they think they need. And then once the door is open and I've closed the door, then I give them what I know they need, which is this understanding. Having just attended the 3PGC conference and listening to all of the other amazing speakers and the work that they're doing in all the different sectors has really just inspired me to look and to speak to even more people, to listen even more deeply and even more keenly, to hear what people think they want, so that I can actually give them what they need. It's just that they don't know it yet. And I remember hearing George Pransky say at one time that we're in the best position possible because unlike other people who are always trying to sell their products and things that are already well known, whether it's coaching or counseling or some different type of service, and there's a full field of people trying to provide those services. We're in a unique position where we have the opportunity to educate people about what it is that we're actually doing. And as we educate them and they become more aware, then we can show them what we can do and what we can offer. And very few people have the opportunity to share something that is and that feels new and fresh and innovative in a new field. And so right now, particularly in criminal justice in the UK, what we have are different private companies coming in with low costs and low budgets. And some people have said to me, Janet, how are you going to speak to them about the three principles? How are you going to share that with them so that they're going to commission your work? The thing is, I don't have to speak about the principles. People are very rarely want to know the how. People in the main want to know the results. What can you deliver? What can you do? And as I've said before, it always goes back to the grounding. It always goes back to listening with nothing on my mind so that I can hear what they think they want. And I can always give a person what they think they want, because the same way in which they've made something up, I can always make something up. But in educating a person, in listening and educating a person, I can also show them what it is they need, far beyond what they think they want. And as we continue to work with the women, we continue to develop and grow as an organisation. So now we are working with some of the offenders who have been through our programs and training them to be peer support workers and facilitators so that they too can go into different organisations, work with other offenders and share their understanding of the principles and support people who are going through some of the most difficult times in their lives. Who at the end of the program can turn around and say, I'm so grateful that I got into trouble because I wouldn't have had access to this program if I hadn't gotten into trouble. So, are there any questions? Because I could ramble, I could talk, and like I said, I just want to make sure that this is relevant to people, that it's going in the direction that they would like, and if there's anything that a person would like to ask, then I'm happy for that as well.
Anybody that would like to ask questions to Janet can raise your hand, or you can send me a chat, whichever you prefer. And then I can open the mic for you or read the questions. Well, I think there is a bit of echo with me. Yeah. You don't have any question, Janet. I think people are in a very nice place, so you'll have to carry on, I'm afraid.
No afraid about it at all.
Ah, no, we are. There is actually someone is asking something, and he said, Peter, it's called Peter, he said, I invite you to say whatever you wish about specific clients you have dealt with.
Right. Yeah. Well, Peter, we are clearly connected because that's what I was going to move on to next. to share. I think I said at the conference that I believe I see miracles happening every single day. Every day that not only when I'm working with these the women, the female offenders, but in my own life as well, how I change and see things differently. So I think from very early and from one of the very first programs, I still remember some of the women from those programs how some of the women turn up and you can tell that substance misuse is quite high with these women. And so there's one woman in particular who, she looked as if she was on methadone. She'd drink like 3 cans of Red Bull in an hour and a half. She just looked like she was bouncing off the wall completely. But she stayed. She came for the first 4 sessions and she returned and she disappeared for 2. And I didn't know what had happened. I didn't know whether she got back on the drugs, whether she disappeared. I didn't know what had happened. And she came back 2 weeks later. And I said, what happened to you? She goes, oh, John, I didn't really see anything. She said, I took an overdose because I believed the thinking. I believed the thoughts that were going in my head for myself, that there wasn't anything to do for. And she says, after she'd taken the tablets, another thought came into her head was, what are you doing? You know that's just your thought. And from that thought, what she then did, she phoned the hospital. And she got an ambulance came and she was taken to the hospital and her stomach was plump. And she said that she's sitting in front of the consultant. The consultant was saying, oh, you took this overdose because you were feeling bad. And she said, is that your opinion or is that something you actually know? And she said, because that's just your thinking, isn't it? She turned around and said to me that second, she said, if I hadn't had an understanding of the principles, if I didn't recognize that new thought as wisdom coming in, I wouldn't be here now. Because I would have taken the tablets and I would have stayed there and died, believing the other thoughts saying that life's not worth living. And so this understanding has saved lives, has saved at least one life I know. And has helped numerous women with their relationships with their children. Some of the women that come onto this program, and we call the program the Simple Truth Program, they come onto the program because many of them are not able to discipline their children or have a relationship with their children. So because they don't have a healthy relationship with their children, the children play truant, they don't go to school, and as a result, the parents are put on orders. And so to a certain extent, these women can feel quite resentful that they haven't done anything wrong. They've tried the best that they can with the understanding that they have to try and be the best mother and the best parent that they can be. But for those parents who have come on, I think particularly one in particular, parents who have come on to an order because of the truancy of their children, what happens is that they start to form better relationships with the children. And when I say better relationships, it could be that there are clear boundaries with their children. That when there is a meeting at school to discuss the absenteeism of their child, as opposed to being in a meeting and feeling like a child themselves, that they're being told off by these other authorities like social workers and teachers, that the parent can turn around and say, Janet, I shared with them. I had a voice and I explained to them what had happened and I explained that I needed help. So what I see is that these principles allow a person to have a voice. Because the thinking that they've had saying that they're a bad parent, that they're here because they're not worthy, that they're not good enough, these principles allow them to see the story that they've been telling themselves and not to believe the stories of other people, that they're not good parents, that they hear their wisdom and see their wisdom and actually speak out and ask for help when it's needed, which is something that they wouldn't have done before because they would have resented the authority. I remember one parent who came onto the program because of an alcohol issue, and as a result of her alcohol, her child had been taken from her. And she said when she started the program, she didn't think she was going to live. She didn't think she could live without her son. But with every passing week, and that was just a 7-week program, we see these women for 2.5 hours once a week for 7 weeks. As the weeks went on, you could just see this woman start to just change. Her whole countenance started to change. Rather than being quiet and sitting in a corner and feeling that there was no hope, she started to radiate and shine. And by the end of the program, she was in conversation with the social worker to have her get her son back. So that within a year, she had access to her son, and within 18 months, the son was living with her again. Now, even though our program only lasted 7 weeks, what this program also, what it would demonstrate, that this understanding, once you have the understanding, never leaves you. No matter how small or how little you understand and know, it never leaves you. And I know that she has her son back because I friend people on Facebook, and I see that she's now a really happy mother, knowing that there are times that there are things that she can't deal with, that I can't deal with. But things still happen, the ups and downs still come, and she will still express herself. However, with the grounding that she has, she knows that her default setting is one of joy and peace and love. And so the women learn and begin to understand that it's not their environment that impacts them, but it's how they see the world and how they think about the world. That's what creates their experience. And as a result of knowing and having an understanding how they create their experience, then they experience themselves a greater freedom in life. So the majority of women who come to our group have to be there on Monday 2 weeks. It's a condition of their license or it's a condition of their order for them to attend. And so some women don't want to be there. Many women don't want to be there. It's just another program. I think it's just another program and that this is as good as it's going to get for them if they learn new techniques. But something resonates with them, and that's what I'm saying about being connected. Being connected to source and being connected to mind. That's what brings the women back because they have a feeling. They know and feel that there's something different. They know and feel that this isn't something that's being done to them. It's not an outside in approach, but there's something deep within them. There's something inside them. And that's what we're connecting to. That's what we're talking to. We're talking to that wisdom. And as a result of that, the women become more free and more able to speak in the group, more free and more able to speak to their partners. There's one woman who started a group in September just last year, and she only attended 3 weeks because she was in an abusive relationship and she wanted to leave her partner. Just after 3 weeks of being in our group, she left her partner, but she also had to leave the group because of the safety, not only her own safety, but the safety of the other women in the group. Now, what's absolutely amazing is that when we started another group in January, she started to attend the group in January as well and completed it. To me, this is unheard of, that a person can be on probation and would choose to attend the probation group. When she returned, she said that she'd left her partner after 4 weeks of being on our program. And she was still separated from him. Not only that, she'd also started doing volunteer work in the community, something that she never thought she would ever do. And she attributes that to the program, she attributes that to the group, in saying that if she hadn't seen the lies she'd been telling herself, if she hadn't seen that there was more to the life than she'd created, then she would never have stepped out and done the volunteer work, would never have stepped out and left her partner, would never have had a better relationship with her parents. Because of her being in an abusive relationship, her parents had left her alone. But in her having this new understanding, in her showing up differently in life, she now has a better relationship with her parents. It's really funny. As I said, just this last week, we started a group last week, week before the conference, and with Linda Ramos sharing this week, so Linda Ramos came and attended this group, and she took the session, and one of the women just said, "How can it be this simple? It can't be this simple." And I said, "Who said? Who said it couldn't be this simple?" She said, "Nobody." And so it's not dependent upon time. It's not even the words we say. Because if we've had 2 sessions of 2.5 hours, that a person's countenance can change, that they can start to question their world and how they see their world. It always comes down to that connection. It always comes down to that grounding. It always comes down to connecting with a person at such a formless and spiritual level. That's where the change happens.
Thanks, Jeanette, for that. We have another question from Girl. Sorry if I don't say your name properly. Apologize. The question is, how did you become aware of the 3 principles, and how did it affect you personally?
Thank you for that question. Thank you. When I left probation, I went on a journey to find more techniques so that I could be more marketable. If I can find more techniques and better techniques, then more people will commission my services. I will be far more effective. And so I did my NLP practitioner course, EFT. In between then I got married, and the business went quiet. And after the business went quiet, I thought, right, I need more clients, so I need to clearly develop more skills and do more work and work harder. And so what I did was I thought, okay, I need to become a master practitioner of NLP, because to me that had been the most effective work I'd seen. Still technique and outside in, but it seemed the most effective. And so I went on to a James Smart Master Practitioner NLP course in Leicester, and that was in 2010. And I'd noticed that Jamie, there was something different about Jamie. He wasn't just telling us about techniques and telling us to go and practice them. I could feel that there was something different. And when I checked out with his managing director, she said, yes, he's been on a spiritual journey for the last 2 years. I was like, okay. And it just happened that he was starting the Inner Circle, which was going to be a 3 principles-based business program. And at that time, I was still looking at how I could increase my bottom line, how I could increase my revenue, and so I thought, right, I'll join that. And it was whilst I was on that program that I was introduced to Aaron Turner. And I always remember Aaron coming into the room, like the Inner Circle had started to gel. We'd had a couple of sessions, and I remember this, in my words, this Diddy man turning up and just standing up in the room. And I'm thinking, who are you? Who are you coming in here? But he had such a presence about him. It looked as if he belonged here. It looked as if he belonged in the room. When he started talking about the principles, I thought, okay, there's more to this than meets the eye. Still was focused on business, but there's more to this than meets the eye. And so I was able to go to the last day of the first 3 principles conference in London. Then it was based at the Tickland Centre. And then I heard Amy Chenmore talk about and show a video of the work her father had done in Modelo. And that video just moved me to tears because I could see what came to me was that this is the answer. What I felt was this is what I've been looking for all along. And the next thought that came to me was, I'm going to spend the rest of my life learning this so that I can share it with the world. Fortunately for me, Aaron and Mara started the Institute the year after, and so rather than going to spend 4 years as an intern, 4 months as an intern with the Pransky's in Washington, I was able to attend a program here in the UK. And what happened for me, my own personal change, what I noticed right now was that I stopped pretending and started being. When I say stop pretending, I was always seen to be a positive person, a happy person, optimistic person. But what I realize now, that was just an act. I was acting and trying to be positive because that's what I thought I had to be as a coach in the industry that I'm in. I had to be positive. But in understanding how I create my experience by my thinking, understanding my true identity, who I really am, the spiritual being that I truly am, I have access to an infinite intelligence that far surpasses anything that I know personally. And with that knowing, and as that being, why would I pretend to be anything else but that? And so now I feel so much more, as I grounded, content, happy, free to be myself. That to the extent, so funny, I have a personal trainer at the moment. I love working hard. I love being challenged in the gym and exercise and stuff. I also love eating, so it's a really great balance. But when I'm in the gym and my instructor tells me to do some exercise, so for example, he has this really huge, this really thick rubber band that's attached to a wall, and I get in it and I have to run against it, and so that there is a tension that I'm running against. I love running against it with elastic band. I'm like a kid and I'm giggling, and he says, "Why do you have to be so loud?" I'm like, you're good. He says, I can't deny who I am and who, myself and who I really am. I said, this is me. And I continue to giggle and I can continue to laugh. And he just shakes his head. And for me, that's me just enjoying life and being in the moment, in being who I truly am, and not really taking notice of what everybody else is thinking, because I know that they're just making up their experience to try and understand what I'm doing. That's what my instructor's doing, making up his experience to try and understand why is she laughing, why is she happy when she's running against this rubber band. It's supposed to hurt. So I feel far more free, far more content, far more at peace. and a greater connection to even more people. And also to listen. I thought not that I was a good listener, but I thought I could do my job well. So I listened when I had to listen and just moved on and did what, and then I'd have the answer and I could move on. But up until I had this understanding, I don't think I ever really listened. Listened unconditionally without judgment. What I have now is the ability, the knowing that I can let go of the thinking that comes into my mind to take the pressure off myself, to come to a conclusion when a sentence ends, to know what the answer is when somebody's been speaking to me. I don't have to do anything. I just have to be in the moment and be open to hear wisdom show up to guide me as to what to say. I don't get stressed. Okay, I don't get stressed. So right now we're planning a conference in Birmingham for tomorrow, and things change dramatically. Like we haven't had Bill Pettit come in, one of the organisers has pulled out, and so it's fallen on my shoulders and a few others just to pull this together. So right now I think I've got 5 people staying in my house. I just spilled a pint of water over my laptop. I've still got some planning to do before the conference tomorrow. And it's just like I can only do one thing at a time. It really is. I can only do one thing at a time. And I can sleep when it's done. So, and I can laugh. Also, it gives me a great opportunity to go out and buy a new laptop tomorrow. How fabulous is that? See, there's always a silver lining. Brilliant. Brilliant. And what I also know is that as good as life feels more now, there's so much more that I do not even know, and that excites me. Whereas before I kind of felt that there was more, and I think because of my faith, I used to attend a Pentecostal Christian church and very much into Christian faith. And so I knew about God, I knew that God, I think how I had interpreted the church teachings was that God was outside. There's a bit inside, but God was outside. This understanding has allowed me just to have a glimpse of the magnificence, the infinite potential, the essence that is beyond words that I'm connected to constantly and is always available and I have access to. And so the unknown excites me because there's so much I don't know and continue to be on an adventure, not purposefully to discover it, but to be aware and be open to it so I can experience the new.
Thanks, Janet. Girls say thanks. That sounds fantastic. So anybody else have questions? That's your last chance, so go ahead if you have a question. Raise your hand, send the chat, whichever you prefer. Janet, I think everybody is in a very nice place, so there is no questions anymore.
Well, I suppose. So what I'd want to say is that I suppose in me stumbling across these principles, in me being open and hearing something different, my life has completely changed. When I say my life has been completely changed, I probably still, if I hadn't encountered the principles, I probably still would be training and facilitating, but life would be a lot harder. I would be trying so much more. I would still be looking for the next best thing, the next best technique, the next thing to do that could change people. I'd probably be running around trying to get funding and bids and competing with people and drilling down the price so that I'd look more attractive to other bidders and commissioners. But in the inside, so on the outside, it looks as if I'm doing that, but on the inside, there is a peace and a calm and a reassurance which knows that everything's going to be okay. That 3 years on, that we have the results from an innovative, intuitive, simple program that works across the board for everybody. That now we have staff members that want to attend the program because they see how calm their offenders are and they want to attend. So now he's going to start looking at training and working with the staff. Now, I didn't go out and look for this. It came to me. It does feel as if life is effortless in so many different ways. And yet there are still ways that I recognize of my blind spots. And there are still stories that I tell myself. But whereas before I probably would have believed these stories and bought into them, I just get a feel now, trusting that feeling even more that this is just a story. You don't have to take it seriously. And so life feels a lot lighter, a lot easier.
Thank you, Janet. I'd like to read something that Peter sent. Says, thanks for speaking from your heart. Very helpful. As Quaker say, you spoke to my condition. And I'd like to say thank you too. It was beautiful. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Carrie.
For taking the time.
It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Janet. And I hope to see you next month where we'll have Jenny Kennett. And you will know more closer to the date, obviously. So thank you again, Janet.
Thank you,
and have a great evening.
everybody. Thank you, everybody, for taking your time.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.